So we're talking about the Harbor Bridge. Pretty big project. You can't miss it. First, let me tell you, what are your first initial memories of the old Harbor Bridge?
Well, the memories of the old Harbor Bridge is it looked big at the time. I remember when we started lighting it up, which was great for messaging. And now when you look at the new one, it's pretty big compared to the old one. But if you think about it, the old Harbor Bridge had its function, but now we have huge cargo, huge LNG container ships. And to be able to enter in that market effectively, we got to go to the new bridge. So always a constructive positive, always a good way to get out during a hurricane, but we're going to have to jump to the new level, which is a large bridge. It'll be a postcard moment when it opens up.
Most definitely, and you see the comparisons, right? The pictures.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about, I know you've been a big proponent about cruise ships and things like that. Where do you think we're going to go now that hopefully we'll have this new bridge and bigger ships, like you mentioned, will be able to come underneath?
Well, I'm a big advocate of the cruise ship industry in the coastal bend. To me, I've lived here since 1978. Why don't we have a cruise ship? Why do we have to fly someplace or drive someplace when we could put it here? Now, the old Harbor Bridge, you really can't bring in the big cruise ships. You're going to have to open the new one, and you're going to have to take down the old one, which could be about a year process. Then I plan to advocate and push the travel tourist industry to bring in the cruise ships to our area. And there's no better place than the coastal bend. You could come into the coastal bend zone at different places, but it will revitalize the area. We've had prior laws put in place, but now's the time. That's why it's so important. Let's get it open so we can get the process going, and we can then make an appeal. Come on, cruise ships, come down to the coastal bend. This is the place to be.
Where do you think people, like you mentioned, for us, we have to drive to Galveston or fly over to Miami or Florida. Where do you think, if cruise ships do end up coming here, who are we attracting? What places are we not able to grab right now?
Well, the first thing I always hear is, well, if Galveston has it, why not do it some other place or not do it somewhere? Hold it a second. When you got this franchise over here, it always gets better when you have a competing franchise across the street. So look at the coastal bend. When you come in from the Gulf, you come in first to Corpus Christi area, the Port of Corpus Christi, before you even get up the coast. So we sit in a great area. But who do we attract? You bring the cruise ship industry here. Think about your airport, international airport, it's going to increase. But you have northern Mexico, you have the Rio Grande Valley, you have the coastal bend zone, you have San Antonio, that whole area. They're one of the top 10 biggest cities in the U.S., and you plug into Austin. So we have a huge travel tourism area. All I can see is a lot of jobs, a lot of technological jobs, a lot of new degree programs that could come to our universities, and heck, we could be the place for the cruise ship industry.
Most definitely. We talked about, obviously, the cruise ships and the bridge, how the old bridge wasn't allowing those big ships. Now with the old bridge hopefully being demolished and being gone, we have this new bridge. They were also talking about the, I believe, was it dredging? So now that we have that, the project just opened 2 weeks ago, that's a big part. Were you a big proponent of that as well?
Absolutely, because if you're going to have this big bridge, you're going to attract the LNG market, you're going to attract cargo. You really want this area to be the focal point of the world internationally for ports. You want the dredging and you want the new bridge. So we're positioning ourselves where we can bring in cargo and ships like other places around the world.
We talked a little bit about it, but what do you think is going to be the economic impact of this new bridge here in the coastal bend?
Well, I think it's going to be huge. The first question that everybody has is how big, and it's going to be big. When this bridge opens up, it is a postcard moment. It's one of the biggest suspension bridges that you've seen. You're going to then see more traffic coming into the area. When you open that bridge, which is important to get it open, people then believe it's finally open. It will attract business to look at our area. A lot of people say, well, why aren't they coming now? Well, until that bridge is really open and it is operating, a lot of folks and a lot of businesses are saying, well, let's wait till this gets open. We've already been delayed. Let's have no more delays. I believe you're going to see a huge impact. I think the whole landscape of the coastal bend is going to be impacted positively by economics. You're going to see a new industry. You're going to see a new future. Travel, tourism, as well as business and industry are going to thrive.
And so now also let's talk about the Old Harbor Bridge. I know we kind of mentioned it, the memories. At first you thought it was a really big bridge. You obviously have lived here for a really long time. Your son's, family born here, right? And so bringing that bridge down, is that kind of nostalgic or sad in some way? What do you think that people who grew up seeing the Old Harbor Bridge will no longer see it? What do you think about that?
Well, in talking with folks on that question, I still talk to folks that remember the bridge that existed before the Harbor Bridge. And now we have the Harbor Bridge, which everybody sees is going to come down. But I really don't look at it as a sad or a negative. I look at it as the time is now for a positive, a moving forward, and really we're positioning ourselves for the entire world internationally. So rather than a negative, I look at it as just a growth for our area to be economically positive.
Yeah, most definitely. I have some other questions from a reporter. So
Sure.
These are written. So what does the new Harbor Bridge represent economically for Corpus Christi? We already talked about that. How do you see this bridge strengthening our position as a trade and logistics hub?
The bridge is going to have a huge impact on trade and logistics. Think about it. Here is the coastline compared to Houston and north coast of Texas. We're the first area that you can come in right after Brownsville. So access-wise, we're in a great position. Then when you create the new Harbor Bridge, by having it opened with the dredging, the larger international ships can come in. We're going to be well known around the world. Mm-hmm. So you're going to see a big impact, but you're also going to see it easier to get into than other port areas in this area.
And I know we already talked about kind of the industry and the businesses, but specifically, what kind of job creation do you see in the future with this?
When the bridge opens, you've got to look at travel, tourism. You got to look at business and industry. You got to look at technology, because now the big ships have lots of technology. First, I see an impact positive for our colleges. Look at Del Mar. Del Mar could be the workforce training center for the entire region, not just in this area, the entire region. Texas A&M Corpus Christi, University of Texas Marine Science Institute in Port Aransas, both can provide new education opportunities or gain from what's coming into the area. So first step, higher education in our area really gets involved, is plugged in, provides a great workforce, but also opens up for new research to come into our area. The second that I'm going to look at is the airport. When you bring in all this activity, it's going to expand the airport, and it's going to provide more demand. It's going to be providing more recognition. It's going to be providing more attention. So think of travel coming into our area is going to be impacted big. So these are two of the immediate elements that I see.
Okay. And you helped secure state support for this. What made this project such a priority for you personally?
One of the reasons I wanted to get involved in the Harbor Bridge early on was evacuation and hurricanes. If you look at our area, this new bridge will provide a lot more access to get out of the area, evacuation to get out of the area in case of storms. And so to me, it was a safety planning for the future. So evacuation, hurricane preparation, to me is a big, big idea for this bridge. The other is Texas is growing. We're the fastest growing state in the nation. And everybody's looking. We have people looking at hydrogen. We have people looking at data centers. We have people looking at electric generation. We have renewable groups. Everybody's looking throughout Texas. When you open this bridge up, it sends a message that South Texas, the coastal bend, is open for business, and there's not a better place to come.
And what do you hope this project signals to the rest of the state and the nation about Corpus Christi? I know you just kind of mentioned that, but.
To me, as soon as the bridge opens, I tell everybody it's a postcard moment. We're on every sign, we're on every notice, because that bridge is going to be spectacular. And it sends a message of industrial, business, evacuation, safety, and new technology coming into the area. So I think what it's going to do is be a great boost for recognizing the coastal bend.